Here we go. Hey, let's do it. Hey, giddy up on three. 1, 2, 3. Giddy up.
You can feel the buzz when you're around this city. People have fallen in love with the Birmingham Stallions. Here we go. We're getting a little juice going.
Birmingham is going to win the USFL championship.
Welcome to a unexpected but exciting, I think, episode of State of the Stallions. I have joining me either the most beloved or most hated man in Birmingham. I'm not quite sure which one yet.
We got to put a poll out.
Yeah, hopefully he's going to be trying to exonerate himself. Maybe by the end of the episode, he'll make his case for why he should be the most beloved man in Birmingham. But,
Nah, I think you have to burn me at the stake at that big, that big statue in the middle of the city.
we might have to. We'll see. We might stick you on top of the Vulcan and set you on fire. But love him or hate him, you probably have heard of him by now. James Larsen. James, thanks for taking the time to do this. How are you doing this morning?
I'm hanging in there. I'm actually pretty excited because, if I'm being honest, I said it from the beginning. I would love nothing more to be wrong about this story. So I'm hoping that I am.
Well,
Except it's like you're not wrong, but you are because it's a very interesting situation.
touche. So, speaking of that, you put out an article within the last couple days, apologizing for some. I'll quickly summarize the article for those who haven't read it. You apologize not necessarily for putting out misinformation, but for maybe not including enough disclaimers that the situation was fluid, and that even though you had gotten multiple sources kind of saying the same thing, that things weren't maybe set in stone yet. So maybe if you want, just for those who haven't read that article or who maybe saw your first article about Birmingham potentially leaving, or the Stallions potentially leaving Birmingham, and haven't read that article, maybe just give us a quick overview of kind of what you were hearing, and in hindsight what maybe you missed or you feel like you should have included in kind of those initial reports.
Yeah, I think, for anyone who read my latest article about, like you talked about, how it kind of came out with not necessarily an apology of like, hey, I put out misinformation, but more so like, hey, I should have made it more clear that it was fluid from the get-go because it's spring football and it literally is always fluid. I mean, we saw that with the merger. We've seen that the last couple of years with relocation, expansion, this, that. So the issue here is that, looking back at where I was at that point in time, I had like this is my most sourced story ever. So to have so many sources, I mean, well over 5 sources, all wrong if Birmingham stays is pretty intriguing. But I guess the bottom line is Birmingham, as Rapoli's tweet actually makes it even more clear that they were looking to move Birmingham in the sense that now that he's seen the uproar and now that he's seen the fact that the Stallions fans are so passionate and want to keep the team, now he's giving them a chance to keep the team. Had this have not come public, I think it's very, very likely that they would have moved on from the Stallions and not said anything until it was set in stone.
So you should be the most beloved man in Birmingham.
I mean, I'm not saying that. At this point, what people are gonna think of me, what they think of me, but on the positive I'll take from my end, which I did put in the article, is that, if Birmingham stays, which again is still not set in stone, but I guess we'll see what happens over the coming weeks, now was the time for the Stallions to show this is your chance. If you want the team in Birmingham, there's no more excuses. There's no more like, oh, maybe next year better scheduling, this, that. Like, look, I know the league has to do better on their end, but Birmingham, you have to do better yourself. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line here, and that's what Rapoli makes clear, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, just on that end, real quick, circle back to some of the things you're saying, but I will say, in Rapoli's tweet, if you haven't seen it, again, you probably have by now. He talks about how they want to average at least 15,000 fans across their teams and their venues, and he wants to see Birmingham get. This part's a little unclear. I don't know if he wants to see us get 5,000 new season ticket members this week, or if wherever we're currently at in season ticket memberships, he wants us to see us reach 5,000 by the end of the week. That could be a significantly different number depending on which situation you're talking about. But anyway, either way, that's what he says he wants. And realistically, I mean, if you look at Birmingham's attendance numbers, um, they haven't been great. I mean, obviously, we all kind of know that. But at the most we ever had attend a game was 14,000. We averaged over 10,000 last season in 2024. We averaged, if you take away the Mother's Day game, just shy of 10,000 this year. So, I mean, getting 5,000 season ticket members is certainly going to be a feat, but I don't think it's entirely unfair and unreasonable. I think there's about that many at least, I think, kind of core fans that consistently show up. And if basically, I think what they're saying is, okay, if all of you renew your season tickets, then we kind of have a third of what we want for the season, and then we have basically from now until the season kicks off for both the league and obviously Stallions fans and the local government, because as we'll talk about, the mayor and others have gotten involved. We have, basically until the season starts to kind of hopefully get to that additional, 10,000 gap from 5,000 to 15,000 that they want to see. So, I mean, I think, some people were kind of like, you know, I think most people were excited about what, Repo had said. I think there was some hesitancy from a few people about just like, well, we can't market the team, we can't make this happen. But, I think the Stallions can hopefully give them the numbers they want over the next week or two to prove that yes, we do want the team to stay, kind of put your money where your mouth is, and then hopefully the league will kind of follow through on their end of helping to market the team and kind of bring in those new fans moving forward. But
And to add on that as well,
yeah,
he's expecting season ticket deposits.
yeah,
Why have the season ticket deposits consistently gone down year over year? It's because the value for season ticket holders has consistently decreased every year, while the price in turn has gone up each and every
yeah.
year. So that is 100%, in my opinion, on the league. That's something that they need to address. Uh, the point of spring football, it's supposed to be a fan first league, right? I mean, we look about the XFL in 2020, and I always go back to that because I still feel like that was the golden standard for what spring football could be in the sense of fan engagement and getting these fan bases, really involved with their teams. Like there were so many different season ticket member benefits. You get season tickets for under $100 in basically every single market. Like that, it's those sorts of things that's going to drive spring football to the next level, and that again is on the league because realistically, why are you going to pay extra for your season ticket when you can show up on game day, get it a lot cheaper, and have basically the same experience? Like there's really not a lot differentiating season ticket holders from just your average fan. So that's something that, if Rapoli wants to see more season ticket sales, on that end of things, well, the league's going to actually have to provide some more motivation long term for those season ticket holders.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, I was very vocal in terms of complaining in 2024 because when the merger happened, ticket prices went up, fairly significantly from what they were previously under the USFL. And then, in order to try and boost sales, as you alluded to, they would run all these promotions and slash the ticket prices the day of or the couple days before. And then it was just like you're basically just screwing over season ticket holders. Like you're the people that are most loyal to you, you're making them pay double like what everyone else is paying. So
And for what? Like,
yeah,
here and there, like an extra free drink, or you get to sit in the horseman section. Like, there's not a lot that, you're getting with it right now. You don't even
yeah,
get like field access half the time.
no, for sure. And there was times where they promised things and didn't even do them.
Right. Well,
So
I'll
I
tell you
mean,
a funny story really quick. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but
no, go ahead.
Ref obviously lives in Houston. And to those who don't know the ref, I mean, it's kind of hard not to know him at this point, but he's the guy who runs Pro Football Newsroom and always in his ref shirt, and he lives in Houston. He's been a season ticket member down there for forever. So 2025 was kind of wrapping up, and they started sending out their 2026 promos for season ticket members, and there was a section called like new items for new whatever it was, like new extra things. I forget what the official term for it was, but that's beside the point. And inside what they were offering as like new perks for 2026 were the things that they promised to do in 2025 and didn't do. So it's just like this
Yeah.
is like you wonder why you're not selling more tickets and why you're losing fans basically year in and year out. It's because of stuff like that.
Yeah, and I mean, we could do a whole nother show on, I think people have been critical of Birmingham's attendance, and honestly, I mean, I get some of that. I think some of that is fair. I mean, the team has been here since 2022. They've won 3 championships. The TV viewership ratings are great, so it's not like people don't know or aren't tuning in. So the attendance should be better than it is, but also I do think, as we've just been discussing recently, like a lot of that is to blame on the league. And again, not just for not marketing the team. That's a whole nother conversation that, there does need to be more marketing, but also on the way that, things have been carried out. And I don't even necessarily totally blame the league because some of it is just a result of the merger. Like you had two completely different business models that you tried to just throw together 3 months before the season kicked off. And we've kind of seen the fruit of that, right? I do kind of blame the league for this past year because this past year it was like, oh, we're gonna have a full off season, we're gonna be able to get everything in line.
Boots on the
We're
ground.
yeah, we're gonna have boots on the ground, blah blah, and they didn't do crap. So
And then, and I think this is what frustrated me the most is you had that, right? Where after season one, it was like all that executive coach speak of like, look, it's a merger. We only had a couple months of actually being an entity. We're drinking out of a fire hose, blah, blah, blah. And after season one, like, okay, like we understand. We get it, right? I mean, that was a big, long process. The government made things take longer, et cetera, et cetera. But then for Russ Brandon to be on championship media day after season two and to say the exact same thing, it's just like, how are more people not realizing this is just a cop out? Like, I mean, come on. Like, you're still drinking from a fire hose? Like, that's the line you're going to use for a second straight year? Like, I don't get it.
yeah, this is why I'm excited that Repulse come in. I think he seems motivated and he's listening to fans, and hopefully that's going to change. Hopefully that's going to light a fire under the league on the business end because I do
They
think
need it.
what we've seen has not inspired a lot of confidence. But you know, we'll see. Like I said, we could do a whole nother show on the failings of the league. But let's circle back for a minute. So you put out your report, a few
Mm.
weeks back now, that you were hearing that the Birmingham and obviously all the other USFL teams were going to be moved. And then, in light of that, obviously a sort of campaign started, save the Stallions, save the other teams as well, but we'll focus on the Stallions for sake of this show. And with the Save the Stallions campaign, there was obviously a petition that started. I think within like I can't remember if it was 3 days, 4 days. We got over 2,000 signatures. Obviously, the mayor was alerted to it and put out a statement about the situation and reached out to the league and has had communication with them. Um, there's been obviously a lot of unfortunately, again, this is another problem that we could talk more about, but unfortunately, a lot of the more traditional, bigger legacy media in Birmingham of course picked up this story and actually gave it a lot of coverage, gave the team a lot of coverage, probably more than they had for any individual thing during the season. So word kind of got out there fast, and so as we talked about, in light of all of that kind of pressure and campaign from the league, Repol finally put out this statement yesterday that that they've heard the Stallions fans and that they're sort of giving us the opportunity to potentially save the team again if we put our money where our mouth is and make 5,000 season ticket deposits in the next week or so. I guess the question for you, James, I know that you kind of alluded to this in your article, and some sources have kind of dried up in in light of recent events, and I don't know if the league is you're the person the league is the happiest with in the world right now, but um, you know, either based on your um, things you've heard and or just you speculating, do you think that this kind of second chance for Birmingham is based on the fact that some of the other places they wanted to go, things have fallen through? I know you were, very adamant that you were hearing that Boise was a place they wanted to go, but then, the Boise assistant athletic director came out and said, well, this isn't, it's not, I'm not saying it'll never happen, but it's not going to happen in 2026. And so,
Yeah, you
that
know
made
what's
it
interesting with Boise is the one thing that and again, like you said, I don't have a ton of new intel right now for obvious reasons. But the one thing that I did hear about with Boise is that Boise was actually lined up and it was basically locked in. But apparently it was Rapoli who wanted to back away from Boise for now and focus on some other things. So
interesting.
we'll see. I don't know. I mean, again, take it with a grain of salt because it's coming
Sure.
from me, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
but that
yeah,
because I mean everyone was, I mean, Boise again. Boise was my most sourced piece of that entire puzzle. Was, I mean,
yeah,
they were lined up. Boise is a top three market offer. Like, but I think there are a couple of factors that play into it. In one hand, Fox was a little iffy with the blue turf, which is we've always had that as kind of Fox has never wanted to go to anywhere with different colored turf. And then secondly, Rapoli kind of came in and he's obviously taking over business operations. He's got some plans and visions of his own. And I think and Boise fits into that puzzle. It's just probably not 2026.
yeah. So along those lines, then, do you think that this kind of second life opportunity for Birmingham is more of, you know, things that they thought maybe were going to happen have kind of fallen through, and then it's kind of like now they're coming back to Birmingham, or is it more of like they truly have gotten so much pushback from people that it's caused them to reconsider, or maybe some combination of the
I
two?
think it's a combination of both, if
Yeah,
I'm being honest. And again, this is more so just based off of what I knew beforehand and kind of the little bit that I know now, in the sense that, let's be real, they, as clear as day, they wanted out of Birmingham. I think that if this didn't blow up the way that it did, they probably would have quietly exited Birmingham and just kind of done their own thing. But between one, you still don't have venues solidified within some of the other markets that you're trying to go into, and two, the outcry of support from Birmingham, maybe there is a chance that I mean, it has been a market that has been successful in the past. We saw the numbers with the USFL in 22 and 2020. Well, we haven't seen the exact numbers, but you know what I mean. Like, we saw the
yeah.
crowds there. There's a lot of potential. And part of the reason why Birmingham hasn't shown up the last couple of years is on the league, it's not on the market. So, you know, we will see what happens. I think what's was really fascinating to try to decipher is Rapoli's message, because it's not 100% clear as to whether or not Birmingham's actually coming back next year. It's like on I can't tell if it's on one hand he's like, hey, hit 5K within a week or you're done, or two, we're gonna give you one more chance, and if you hit 5K this week, then hey, I'll make sure I'm out there for the first game. But you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of tough to read between those lines. It'd be odd for him to tweet something out like this and that just to announce in 2 weeks that Birmingham is going away if they don't hit that number. But it's kind of
Well, that was going to kind of be my next question to you, was if you read the tweet as an ultimatum or not, because that was kind of a point of debate. Some people interpreted it as, okay, the Stallions are coming back, and he's using this as a chance to say, all right, like, we're going to keep you all around. We've heard you. We're going to keep you all around, but we need to sell this many tickets this week. Other people read it as, okay, you need to sell if you want to keep the team, you need to sell this many tickets this week, and if you don't, then we're going to move on to something else. I'm not sure which one it is. Part of
it is
me
really hard to tell.
Yeah. Part of me thinks that maybe they are planning on coming back at this point, but they're kind of leveraging the moment and the momentum to try and sell, season tickets. Because like you said, it would be a little weird, I feel like, for him to put that statement out there and then a week or two, like to kind of dangle hope in front of everybody, and then a week or two later be like, oh, psych.
But at this,
But
like, it's one of those things where, like, yes, it would be strange, but also it's better than him being like into not saying anything and then in two
right,
weeks stripping the team away. I feel
right. I mean, it
like
could be an excuse, right? It
like
could be like, we gave you a chance, you didn't come through, oh, so now we're leaving. Like, we're not the bad
exactly,
guys.
like if you're looking like, because I don't know what that number, like, we don't know how many have been sold so far.
Yeah.
I'd imagine it's not a very high number.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
especially after recent events. Yeah,
right. So that's a lot of season ticket deposits to have within a week.
yeah, for sure. Um, I mean, obviously, the best thing that Stallions fans who care about the team, who want the team to stay, can do is make their season deposit. Tell everybody they know that enjoys the Stallions, watches the Stallions, is interested in the Stallions, to also make a season ticket deposit, and that's how you give your
Here's
team the
another
best
thing
shot.
though. And I'm sorry I keep cutting you off,
No, you're good. You're
but
good.
I'm pretty sure. Actually, I'm gonna check this before. Let me check my source before I start spewing more misinformation. But for one, for starters, when you mentioned the whole thing of trying to capitalize on the marketing, I think it's genius to read to take that say thestallions.com domain
Yeah.
and they've redirected it to Ticketmaster, where you can buy the
Yep.
tickets. That's phenomenal. Like that, kudos. Like we wouldn't have ever seen that done under the old ownership. Like kudos to Rapoli and those guys for pushing that through. Secondly, yeah, okay, I was right. Um, the 2026 deposits are non-refundable. So this could be a little money pump for the UFL if they were to get. I mean, it's not going to be insane, but still, like, let's say you get
That would
3,500
be
season ticket
crazy.
deposits and then decide to dip. I mean, they're not. It says right there they're non-refundable, so you're
That
out
would be
50 bucks.
crazy.
I can only imagine how upset people are going to be. Granted, I believe if you bought season tickets as a former season ticket member, you would get a refund, but
Yeah, yeah,
those who
yeah.
put deposits down, you're not getting it back.
Yeah. No, I feel
So
like
like
there
with
could be
that in mind, it makes me feel like Birmingham has to be coming back. Like, are you really gonna let
that's
3,000 people put down deposits and then not refund that? Like,
yeah, and that would be such a PR nightmare, and like there would be a lawsuit. Like I don't know. I feel like they would either. I feel like they would either refund the money or again the team is staying. But I mean, who knows? I mean, the UFL stupid and does stupid stuff. So I mean, you can't rule it out. But at the end of the day, like the amount of money they're gonna get from Stallion season ticket deposit holders in the next week is like 1% of their budget. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know
not
that it's going to be
even.
like,
Like,
yeah, it's like not even going to be that much of a heist to like get that and then run away. So I don't know. Um, don't put these bad ideas in people's heads, James.
no, now they're watching. They're like, oh, you know what? James good for something.
Yeah, yeah. Russ Brandon's licking his lips right now after he heard that idea.
It's getting an extra bonus for those deposits.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know what you were about to say. Extra what? Anyway, circling back. Um, I mean, one of the things, maybe can you say a tiny bit about, because I think this was something that you had been talking to people about before kind of crap hit the fan. You know, some of the issue in Birmingham was with the stadium. And
Yes.
say more about that, and then I'll kind of say one or two things.
They want out of protective, and they have for a while. I mean, I spoke with a couple of high up UFL executives during the USFL Conference Championship when Michigan beat Birmingham this past season, and they made it clear like protective is not like with this crowd, with what we have in Birmingham, like we got to get out of protective. Like this just is not. It doesn't look great on TV, and I hate to be that guy, but especially like the Mother's Day game where like you've got not even 5,000 people in the stands, and not only that, but like the USFL did such a better job because they were able to tarp off those end zones. They were able to keep people a little bit more packed together. Like it just looked better on TV, even when you had one side open. Whereas now, you've got the end zone open and like you've got a cool little shirtless pyramid there, but outside of that, it's barren. And then you've
Yeah.
got, kind of scattered seats on one side and the other side is completely empty. Like it's just not the best look for TV. So I know that's been a big point of emphasis is they want to look for different options there, but don't really have many other options. I know you've got the one baseball stadium that could potentially be used, but like isn't there isn't there a baseball team playing there during the spring as well?
There's not a team that plays there, but the SEC does have their college tournament there in the spring for over
Okay.
like a 2 week period or something like that, where there's like multiple games every day.
So
So you'd
like
have to like schedule
technically
away
like
games those weeks or something like that.
and you'd probably have to do like a 3 game away, like a 3 week
Probably at
away
least,
streak
yeah,
there to give
at
them a big
least.
enough window to change it back to a baseball field and change or however that would work. But
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, there's not a lot of like other venue options in Birmingham that are ideal. I mean, there's one or two that you could try to make work, but
I,
it's
and
not
I
great.
love Protective. I mean, as someone who's been to every single stadium that the UFL has played in so far, Protective's one of my favorite experiences. Like, it's tremendous. The
Yeah.
only thing is, if you're playing in June and it's the middle of the day, it gets really freaking hot. But
Yeah.
outside
Yeah.
of
Well,
that, I mean, it's a beautiful stadium. The venue's perfect. You're right in the middle of Birmingham. Like, it's just like everything about it. The turf is brand new. It looks really good. The seat, like, just the way the seating is arranged is kind of like a cool, unique feel as well.
yeah.
It's just a shame. Like I feel like if you could get 15 to 20K people in the stands, I think it looked pretty good. So
Yeah,
my guess is that's Rapoli's goal. Is at this point, stick and protective. Let's try to get 15K. If we can't, then we're moving on next year. But
yeah. And do you think with protective is the issue more obviously there's issues with the optics, right? And the stadium not looking great. Is it just that, or is there also issues in terms of like the terms of the lease and like the BJCC or the people kind of behind protective being difficult to work with?
that I don't have concrete details on. I
Okay.
know it's definitely not the same relationship that it was between the USFL and
Yeah.
Protective, which obviously makes a lot of sense because you're no longer the hub, you're only there for a few weeks. It's a much different environment now. But I've always believed that relationship has been pretty solid across the board, so I wouldn't have any other reason to believe
Okay.
otherwise until someone says so.
That's fair. Well, I think again the good news is obviously as I mentioned earlier, the mayor was alerted to all this, and
Quickly.
for people who outside of Birmingham who don't know this, or even Stallions fans who don't know this, his mom is actually like a super fan of the Stallions, has season tickets, goes to every game, like is always there, has been on the Jumbotron. So there is like kind of and I think the mayor likes the teams too and sports team. I don't think he comes to every game, but so I think there is, and he's on the board of the BJCC, which is the controlling kind of interest in protective and oversees that whole part of Birmingham. So all that to say, I do know they've been in touch. I mean, he's reached out to them. Interestingly enough, Rapoli tagged him in the tweet that he put out. Um, he's also up for re-election in 2 weeks. So it
He's
would,
got a busy schedule.
yeah, but it would also look good for him, right? If he could kind of be like, hey, I helped negotiate or kind of come to terms with the UFL to keep the Stallions here. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing good things for Birmingham. So I think he has interest for several different reasons in like trying to help make something work. And it has enough, I think, authority and power, not to just single-handedly make it happen, but to maybe kind of apply some pressure to Protective to say, hey, like let's work with these guys. Let's like find a way to make this happen. So I could see that also being something that they didn't factor in when they were considering leaving, back when you kind of put out your statement versus what's transpired over the last few weeks. And maybe they were able to come to a more friendly deal with the league or something like that. And then, like you said, now the goal is kind of filling the stadium. But, like you said, I think there's things they could do with the optics. At some point, I don't know why they did this, but obviously at some point they stopped putting people on both sides of the stadium and tarping off the end zone like they did in the USFL. I was told, I don't, but this was secondhand, so don't take this with a grain of salt. I was told that was more because if they did that, they wouldn't have to pay as much to the stadium because they wouldn't have to pay for concessions and stuff like that and janitors and like sort of for both sides to be open. Maybe that's
That would make a
true.
lot of sense.
Yeah, and maybe that's true, but I'm just like at some point you got to be willing to bite the bullet if you care about the optics because you know 10 to 15,000 people kind of more or less behind both benches is going to look better on TV than half the stadium like kind of full. I mean, you kind of see that in Ford Field, right? Like Ford Field is a big stadium, bigger than Protective, but I feel like it doesn't look too bad on TV when they kind of more or less try to fill up behind both benches. Um, but I don't know, they didn't consult me on this. And sometimes, one of the things that for the UFL and the USFL, it's always attention is like you've got to spend money to make money. And it's just kind of weird to me sometimes where they've been willing to do that and where they haven't been willing to do that. But before I let you go, James, just wanted to wrap up by obviously there was the appeal to Birmingham. I kind of went through it earlier, but again, if you haven't seen the tweet yet, there is some glimmer of hope. Uh, Mike Repole, the new EFL owner, part owner, put out a statement that if the team can get 5,000 season tickets deposits in the next week, they're here to stay, and he'll be there in Birmingham, this spring to sort of celebrate the kind of groundswell of support for the team. At this point, as we've kind of alluded to, the Stallions fans have been heard, and they have a chance to kind of, if they really want to keep the team, right, to sort of put their money where their mouth is. I'm curious just to kind of get your final thoughts, James, on kind of this opportunity, we'll say, from the league and kind of how you see it playing out. And um, as somebody who's not uh, in Birmingham or from Birmingham, but has still a lot of connection to the team with years covering it, getting to know the players, coming and visiting the city multiple times, and being at the games multiple times. Just kind of your thoughts on where things stand and what you see, moving forward.
I mean, for one, I think it's a real pleasant surprise and also like hopefully something that we can get used to see a co-owner like Rapoli being transparent like this. I think this is what the league needs, right? In times past, we've seen stuff happen behind closed doors, and especially with the merger that was such a icky, just kind of murky. Nobody knew what was going on. Then all of a sudden they announced that 8 teams were gone, and a lot of people were just like, "What the hell?" So I think in this case, where you have Rapoli coming out and making it clear that like, hey, things are gonna be shaking up. We're not really sure. And for Rapoli, he makes it like he's being honest, and I think that is the big thing here. Is he's making it clear like, hey, if you guys don't show up and if you don't show us the support that we need to be sustainable, like you said in this tweet, then we're gonna have to leave. It's not that they want to leave. It's just like it's a business, right? At the end of the day, the UFL is a business, and they need to be profitable and sustainable. So I
Yeah.
think, in my eyes, that's what it comes down to, and I really hope that Birmingham can prove that they can be profitable and good for this league moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, like I alluded to earlier, it's a nice change from the past regime. He's being honest and transparent, but also direct about what the league wants to see, what the league needs, and he's giving the Stallions fans an opportunity to demonstrate that they will give sufficient support for the team for them to justify keeping them around. And at the end of the day, that's really all you could ask for, I think, is just this at least this one opportunity to kind of prove that the Stallions deserve to stay. And so,
Yeah,
Stallions fans, if you're listening to this, you haven't made your season ticket deposit for 2026. This is your sign to go do that and to tell a friend and everyone else who likes the Stallions to also do it if you have any desire to see the team stick around moving forward.
I
Like I
got
said,
one final thing to say.
yeah.
Birmingham, I don't know if you love me, if you don't understand, but I do love Birmingham. I've been there a few times. It's always a pleasure to make a trip down there. Got some family in the city. And like I said, I love the Stallions, and I really hope they stick. I think they're great for the league.
Well, God willing, James, and the creek don't rise. Maybe, just maybe, we'll see you in Birmingham again in 2026.
I'd love
But
that.
but Stallions fans, it's up to you. You have to go and make your season ticket deposits. Like I said, spread the word. Get everybody else who likes the Stallions to make their season ticket deposits, and let's see if we can actually do this thing and save the Stallions.
Amen. Giddy up.
All right, James. Glad I got a giddy up out of you, and appreciate your
Overdue.
time. Appreciate your time. And again, still don't know if I'm supposed to love you or hate you, but glad the story is not over yet. So,
Yes, sir.
all right, thanks, man.